Hi, I'm Dawud, and I'm CEO and co-founder at TwoSense. TwoSense is invisible, continuous, multi-factor authentication for the workplace based on behavior. TwoSense is invisible, continuous, multi-factor authentication for the workplace based on behavior. One of these buttons. There we go.
TwoSense, presented by its
All right, so this is what we're talking about when we talk about multi-factor authentication. Authentication is the part of the interaction with any system where you do a whole bunch of work to prove to that system that you're the right person to do whatever it is you're trying to do. And this is authentication to a mobile application. This is authentication to a mobile phone. This is authentication to an ATM, to a car with a physical key. This is your responsibility to jump through a bunch of hoops to prove to a system that you're the right person, the authorized user for whatever it is you're trying to do. And these are things like username and password, a PIN, thumbprint, voice biometric, a face scan. There are many, many different ways in which we can authenticate. All of them have one thing in common. It's your responsibility to do the work. And multi-factor authentication is 2 out of 3. So there's 3 concepts here in authentication. The first factor is a secret, a shared secret. It's something that I know and something that the system knows, like a password. And if I can provide that, then I authenticate. The second factor is something I have, a device, where if I can present this device, this could be a hardware key, it could be your phone. If I can present the device, then I've gained access. The third factor is something you are. It is a biometric. And my background is in machine learning research. I have a PhD in computer engineering, and I spent many years in research building machine learning algorithms to help computers understand human behavior. And TwoSense is an artificial intelligence platform, a machine learning platform that uses that same technology to, instead of understand human behavior, to learn to recognize somebody based on behavior. And the reason we want to recognize somebody based on behavior is because if we can authenticate you by what you're doing anyway, then we have a form of authentication which is actionless. There's absolutely nothing you have to do to authenticate. It's continuous, so it's always on, even if you're not actively interacting with the system. And these 2 aspects make it more secure than any other form of authentication, and we'll see why in a second. Now, when we talk about behavior here, what we're talking about is whatever the system can observe of you. So this can be something of the nature of how do you type? What is the speed or the cadence and variability of your typing? What is the rate at which you make errors? How do you move the mouse? What is the trajectory, the acceleration, the deceleration? On a mobile phone, there is a plethora of sensors that we can use to take advantage of this. So what does your gait look like from the accelerometer in the phone in your pocket as you're walking down the street? What does it look like when you take that phone out of your pocket? What does that gesture look like? Where on your body do you normally carry your phone? My phone's always here. That's part of my behavior. And then combining all of these together, each of these by itself is not enough to provide strong authentication, but it is the confluence of every measurable aspect of your behavior that yields something that can be used for authentication. And here's why that really matters. So right now, 81% of all of the attacks that you've heard of, every breach, everybody that gets hacked, everything you've heard of, 81% goes through identity. And this means that an authorized account was used by somebody that was unauthorized to do something that they shouldn't have been doing. They were able to get through identity security. But still, only 4%, 5% of cybersecurity budgets are spent on identity security, and that is because the money you spend on identity security means that for your employees, the people that have to get through this every day, they have to do more work. It adds friction. And that's why we're seeing this. That's why there's this huge disparity. And this disparity represents a $2 billion revenue opportunity for TwoSense, for invisible authentication in the workplace. And this is what our product looks like. It is something that drops into the ecosystem for any enterprise business. It plugs into existing identity and access management systems. It plugs into existing multi-factor authentication infrastructure, and it simply answers the question, can we give this employee that's trying to access something or do something a green light without having to interrupt them? Gesundheit. And it's a combination of mobile behavioral biometrics plus what we see on the laptop and the proximity between the 2 of them, where we're invisibly answering, is it this user? Do they have their authorized device? Second and third factor, invisible, continuous, multi-factor authentication. We're a team of PhD machine learning engineers, cybersecurity experts with enterprise application building experience, and we just signed a multi-million-dollar deal with the largest employer in the world, United States Department of Defense. That's all I have time for. I'll leave you with this.